I'm struggling in my PTE speaking and I've got 5 days for my exam. Do you have any special routine that I need to follow if I want to get that 90 out of 90 in my PTE speaking in the next 5 days? Well, trust me, if you're wondering with this, then today's video is the one that helps you understand how to get that 90 speaking with the most simple routine by spending just 1 hour a day. Want to make most out of this video? Make sure you watch the video till the end. Hey everybody, Nakul here from SKILLS PTE ACADEMIC. Really hope everybody is doing fantastic. I'm back with yet another super awesome packed video on Score That PTE Speaking 90 with a simple 5-day routine with some new tips. Well, before we get into the video, if you're not subscribed to this channel, kindly click on the subscribe button. Anytime you need online assistance, it's a paid assistance. You can check the information in the description of this video. We left a WhatsApp link. You can click on the link, send us a message. We will do the needful. Alright, without any further delay, let's straight away get right into the video. In this 5-day routine, let me help you with what you should be doing on an everyday basis. Day 1 is all about understanding what is fluency and perfecting your fluency. At the end of the day, it is a fluency that gives you the winning cup over the content and the pronunciation. So day 1 we will spend entirely, we dedicate entirely to improving on that fluency. So what is fluency? Remember, fluency is nothing but not having any fumbles, not having any intonations. Intonation is going up and down. What if I start speaking like this? Will you be able to still watching the video? No. Fluency is all about no hesitations. Fluency is all about going at a natural speed, the speed that I'm comfortably speaking at the moment. And fluency is also about having that rhythm. Hey everybody, Nakul here from SKILLS PTE. The rhythmic speed, these constitute the fluency. So basically what I should be doing if I'm struggling with the fluency, you just randomly take a newspaper or go to ChatGPT and ask it to give some paragraph or any novel, start reading. And when you read, see, 1 hour you need to do this. There should be absolutely no fumbles, no hesitation, no intonation, natural, comfortable speed. And make sure you breathe enough so that you calm your mind and go at a comfortable, natural, rhythmic speed. Let me help you with what you should be doing on the day 1. If at all you have terrible problems in fluency with respect to your read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image, retell lecture and answer short question. Let me help you with it. If this is a paragraph, how to read to improve on your fluency, make sure to start slow. If there are 1,000 steps to climb, you don't have to look at the 1,000th step. Take the first step. Go slow, it's okay, but maintain the rhythm. Have seen how people read. The quiet beauty of the forest in early. No, it's only because you're rushing, you're thinking if you speak fast, you'll get speaking 90. No, you don't get that 90. You need to show how easy can you speak English. So go at a comfortable speed, a little slow to start with. The quiet beauty of the forest in early morning is unmatched. As sun rises, a soft golden light filters through the trees, casting long shadows on the forest floor. Birds begin to sing, their melodies filling the air while the cool breeze rustles the leaves. The scent of damp earth and pine needles is fresh and invigorating. For a brief moment, the world feels still, as if nature itself is holding its breath, waiting for the day. Going at a comfortable speed. Anyone who sees me reading it or listens to me reading this would often think, oh, this person is the most happiest person. No stress, no tension, no anxiety, no anxiousness. It's just going at a very comfortable speed. This is what you need to bring. You need to invoke. This is what fluency is. So if you're still not getting it, then you gotta practice the entire day, probably 1 or 2 hours, just to get the flow, the rhythm, the natural speed. Don't go fast, don't go slow. Maybe you can start with a little slow in the beginning and then pick up the speed a bit ahead. Something like, the quiet beauty of the forest in early morning is unmatched. As sun rises, a soft golden light filters through the trees, casting long shadows on the forest floor. Birds begin to sing, their melodies filling the air while the cool breeze rustles the leaves. The scent of damp earth and pine needles is fresh and invigorating. For a brief moment, the world feels still, as if nature itself is holding its breath, waiting for the day to fully a bit fast. So this is how you increase the speed, not going at a stretch, going at very fast speed right in the beginning. No. So this speed you gotta learn. You got to make your mind learn, okay, this is what is my speed. This is what the speed I'm going to keep throughout my speaking section on the day 1. If you're able to do this, 90% of the work is almost over. Hope you are getting it. Now day 2 is where we learn the approaches for all sections, wherein we tend to understand what is the correct way, what is the wrong way. If I have to correct it, what am I supposed to do? Hope you are getting it. Now let's talk about the read aloud. Remember, priority is the fluency, though read aloud is evaluated with respect to 3 components. First is fluency, second is pronunciation, third is content. 5 marks equally shared, but it's the fluency that wins the race over the content. So what is the tip here? What is the approach here? Very simple. Give perfect content in the best case possible. But worst case, you can skip 1 or 2 or 2, 3, max 2 or 3 and not more than that difficult words without hurting your fluency. If there is one difficult word and you have a feeling that if you speak that word, you're going to fumble. If that is a feeling, if that is the instinct that is coming over, then you just skip the word without compromising on the fluency. Can I do that? Definitely yes. What other tips? Try to finish it in 20 seconds. Usually it will not take more than 20 seconds unless the audio is very lengthy. Very lengthy audios will not be given. For me, whenever I speak 14 seconds or 16 seconds I usually end, but if a lengthy audio comes, probably it may exceed, but usually within 20 seconds it should be finished. It will end if you go at a natural speed in 20 seconds. Now let's understand the perfect way to speak in the read aloud. Let me help you with it. The morning fog clung to the streets like a secret, wrapping the world in a quiet ethereal embrace. As the sun began to rise, its warm light pierced through the mist, casting long golden shadows on the damp ground. This will be the right speed, comfortable speed. Don't have to go fast and don't go very slow. Little slow is still fine. But remember this important technique. Whatever the speed that you pick in the read aloud, the same speed you gotta pick, the same style of speech you gotta pick, the same temperament, the same tempo, the same rhythm you gotta have, you gotta follow throughout the speaking section. I have seen people speaking very fast in read aloud, and now describe image, now templates are banned. Now they have to speak on their own, they will speak very slow. As a result, marks gone. Case. Let's take up the next question. The air felt fresh, carrying the scent of rain-soaked earth and the promise of a new day. People moved slowly, wrapped in coats and scarves, their footsteps by a soft layer of moisture that covered the pavement. Here I missed the word muffled, because I thought if I speak, probably I'll fumble. I skipped it. The worst case, all I'm telling you is, best case, please speak perfectly. In the worst case, 1 or 2 words, totally fine, your marks, you will not reduce. Remember this. Now let's also talk about the mistakes that hurt your scores. First thing is fumble. When you fumble, how do you sound? The morning fog clung to the streets like a secret, wrapping the world in a quiet ethereal embrace. If I speak like this, hardly 2-3 fumbles I think I should still get 79. No, it would be 50 to 55 scoring. If you speak like this throughout the speaking, it is not possible to get above 50. Remember this. Don't assume that okay, I have done all correct, 1 or 2 fumbles. 1 or 2 fumbles in every question will lead to 50-60 only, and not more than that. The next is going very slow. The morning fog clung to the streets like a secret, wrapping the world in a quiet, ethereal embrace. This also will be 40-50. My first attempt I got, I think 60, to second attempt 53 or 54, I believe, because I was speaking like this. This is also a mistake. The third mistake is to speak full fast, meaning the morning fog clung to the streets like a secret, wrapping the world in a quiet ethereal embrace. As the sun began to rise, its warm light pierced through the mist, catching long shadows on the damp ground. Reading completely gone case. You may surprisingly see some 90 if it's your day. Not everybody. 1 in 100. We still see 90 if the person speaks like this, but reading will definitely go down because software says, boss, what are you trying to say? I am unable to understand. The next mistake is speaking with full of pauses. The morning fog clung to the streets like a secret, wrapping the world in a quiet, ethereal embrace. As the sun began to rise, its warm light pierced through the mist, casting long, golden shadows on the damp ground. The marks will be 50, 55, 60 and not even 65 if you do this throughout the speaking, especially in your read aloud. So how do we stop making mistakes? I've explained this by a military strategy the other day, probably a month or 2 ago, about tapping on your head, something like this. If it's still not working, because tapping on your head is a very small punishment, it's a fear of punishment that actually makes this work a bit faster. Maybe if you don't like to do physical activity, you can tell yourself, promise yourself that every fumble will result in 10 sit-ups, squats, proper squats. If you have this fear in the mind, trust me, it should work. Correct? Just have to do 10 sit-ups for every fumble. Whenever you fumble, just do 10 times sit-ups, squats. It should work. This is one of the ways that has helped me excel throughout my life. May not be just the PTE. If it is PTE as well, I would promise you that this would work. But yes, you make fumbles because you're worried about the words, the content, you're too much worried. If you convince your mind that it is fluency and not the content, it's fluency and not the content, you probably will not fumble. So sit in a corner of the room, lights off, eyes closed, and just try to invoke this thought. It is the fluency, not the content. Fluency, not the content. Once you do these things, will automatically fall in place. The next is repeat sentence. Here as well, it's the fluency, the priority over the content. And fluency is 5 marks, pronunciation is 5 marks, but content is 3. And they also say if you speak 50-60% of the content, you almost get the full scores. We have seen this. So the tips for this is, yes, give the perfect content in the best case possible. Let's say 10 audios are there, 5 to 6 audios will be short length, probably 6 words, 7 words, and not more than that. Try to speak perfectly as much as possible. Worst case scenario, if the audio is 12 words, 13 words, you can speak first 60% to be on the safer side. 50% don't speak, just 50%, probably 2-3 words often, let's say, do not understand what you speak. Then it will be like 30% of the content is matching. So try to go a bit forward, like 60-70%. If there are 13 words, at least speak some 8 words, 7 words. You should be able to get a good score. But whenever you speak half or skip some phrase, make sure you don't compromise on your fluency. So what would be the perfect way to speak in describe image? Let's say this is the question. Students are encouraged to submit their assignments before the deadline to avoid penalties. Now, don't have to copy the accent of the speaker. Try to speak like the speaker with respect to the pauses and the speed, or natural, the way you spoke in the read aloud is also fine. Students are encouraged to submit their assignments before the deadline to avoid penalties. We'll give you full marks, 3 out of 3, probably 1 repeat sentence is 3 marks. They'll convert this 13 to 3 because it's 5 fluency, 5 pronunciation, 3 content. 13 to 3 they're gonna convert, so it's 3 mark, 10 repeat sentence questions, 30 marks to speaking and 30 marks to listening. Not just this, you can even speak some 60-70% and click next. That also will give you 3 out of 3, something like this. Students are encouraged to submit their assignments before the deadline. Or you can say students are encouraged to submit their assignments to avoid penalties. Something of a small phrase you can skip, or students are encouraged to submit their assignments. If you speak a bit, like hardly 6-7 words, there are high chances you may get 2 out of 3. If you want 3 out of 3, speak a bit, a little more, so that you would not regret. So the mistake that hurt your scores, very simple. If you fumble the same audio, if you say students are encouraged to submit their assignments before the deadline to avoid penalties. Now this is not 3 out of, this is going to be 0 out of 3. Software says a lot of new words you've added, I'm not able to understand. As a result, your fluency, content and pronunciation goes for a toss. Next is going very slow. Students are encouraged to submit their assignments before the deadline to avoid penalties. This also will be 0. You need to be in line with the speaker's audio. Speaking full fast. Students are encouraged to submit the assignment before the deadline to avoid penalties. No. Make sure you copy the speed of the speaker. That would be the perfect fit. So how to stop making mistakes? The mistakes is happening because psychologically you are thinking you have to speak entire content. Then come out of it. How do I come out of it? Listen less. If you listen to 13 word audio and try to speak 7 words, you cannot. Already all the 13 words are stored here. Already mix and mashup has already happened. You listen if your capacity is 8 words, listen to 8 words. If your capacity is 10 words, listen to 10 words, and not more than that. So this is the main approach. For a small length audio like 6 word audio, 7 word audio, speak everything correctly. 13 word audio, listen to only 8 words. You listen to all 13 words, that's where the problem starts. The next is describe image. Remember, it's the fluency that wins the race over the content. You cannot use the templates that we often used all these years before November 4th. You cannot use generic templates, keyword templates. All those are not going to give you scores. You got to speak something on your own using the new structure that I have given. But when you speak without fumbles. Don't worry too much about the content. You go behind the content, you fumble, fluency gone case. Give this 80% to the fluency, 20% to the content. Just have to speak fearlessly using a new structure. It's okay even if you fail, what max can happen? You again give exam. But if you are fearful and give this, definitely will fail. Correct? Be more fearless and try to go at a stretch. Just like the way you did in the read aloud. The same way you have to speak even in describe image. So what is a perfect way to speak in the describe image? If this is the question about expenses, let me start. The image provided is a line graph that gives information about expenses from Jan to December, while the x-axis talks about the varied number of months to show the expenses. The y-axis talks about actual expenditure. It is evident that in January the expenses were as low as 1,000. Conversely, in the December, the expenses have reached to 7,000, being the highest. Another interesting point is that there is a steady increase from Jan to December for the expenses as concerned. Overall, this image illustrates the expenses from Jan to December for a period of 12 months. You see, I made some mistakes as concerned. There were some grammatical mistakes. Will that be a problem? Remember, it's content, fluency, and pronunciation. There is no grammar marks there. So when you speak, don't worry too much about the grammar. 25-30 seconds should be more than enough, but make sure to speak above 20 seconds. Less than 20 seconds, your marks will go down. Remember this. Let's understand the mistakes that hurt your scores. First thing is fumble. Something like the image provided is a line graph that gives information about expenses from Jan to December. From the picture, I can see x-axis is from Jan to December like this. 4 to 5 fumbles result in 0 marks. Describe image will give you probably 10 to 15 marks and not more than that. If you speak like this for every images, it's going to be 0. Or when you go very slow, then also marks will go down. From the picture, it is clear that in January, the expenses are at 1,000. However, this is going to be also 0. It's the fluency at the end of the day, not the content. We think, oh, if I give this content, I get more marks. You don't get any marks. Try make sure to speak from the image. That's it. Another mistake that hurt your scores is by speaking very fast. Well, you cannot speak fast here. If you speak fast, you fumble. So avoid using all these things. So how to stop making mistakes? Very simple. 25-second preparation time that you get. Use that time to write 3 sentences by looking at the picture. Any kind of 3 sentences, either you speak, note down, or write it down neatly a bit faster. Now 3 main ideas of the structure are done. Use the structure and finish it. If this is a structure, I'm going to help you with how to manage the 25 seconds by writing 3 sentences. If this is the question, customer issue analysis, I'm not understanding anything, it's okay, write something from the picture. 3 things. In Jan, I've written that high issues amount to 52 and low issues amount to 23. During April, I'm not understanding what is this 45, 55, 34 on the left hand side, 0 to 160, it's okay, man. During April, issues with medium is there, low is there, high is there, write something, cook up a story. Medium range dominates with a value of 55, the high, medium and low range almost have same values throughout the months. These 3, whatever is possible you write and use a structure and start speaking. The image provided is a bar graph that gives information about customer issue analysis between Jan to June. The x-axis talks about the months from Jan to June. The y-axis talks about the values from 0 to 160. It is evident that in January, high issues amount to 52 and low issues amount to 23. Conversely, during April, issues with medium range dominate with a value of 55. Another interesting point is the high, medium and low range almost have same values throughout the months. Overall, this image illustrates customer issue analysis from Jan to June across high, medium and low range. You just have to speak. If you worry about content, with the best content, worst content, then you cannot speak like this. If you worry about grammar, then you cannot speak like this. Now we learn the approach. We are still on the day 2. Let's understand the approach of Retell lecture. Remember, Retell lecture, it's the priority is fluency over content and pronunciation, and there is some tips here. There is no perfect content. Correct? People think I wrote this important keyword, I should get more marks. I got this key idea, I should get more marks. You write the bad idea, average idea, or worst idea, or the best idea. For a computer, it is all the same. Don't have to worry about it. Just note down some phrases, not just the keywords. I repeat, not just the keywords. Note down the phrases. 5 to 6, more the phrases you write, better the marks with respect to content towards your speaking and listening from Retell lecture. When you write down, the next step is use my new template. I have a shortened version of the template because there are a lot of changes recently. Use the new template that I'm going to show now and speak without fumbles. To speak without fumbles, you don't have to worry about logic, don't have to worry about grammar, nothing. Whatever you've written, just go with the structure of the template and finish it off probably in 25 to 30 seconds, 30-35 seconds should be more than enough. Make sure to avoid old templates like keyword kind of templates, generic templates, mechanical templates or very lengthy templates. The one that I've given before can still be used if you are confident of writing more number of phrases. Otherwise, use the new structure template that I'm giving you, that I've given you multiple times. The lecture discusses first 2 phrases if possible or 1 phrase. In the beginning, the speaker explained about, later the speaker said. Here the speaker also mentioned. In conclusion, the lecture effectively summarized. So this is what we're gonna use. Just make sure to speak for 25-30 seconds, should be more than enough. So what are the mistakes that often people make in Retell lecture? Same as the read aloud. They fumble, they hesitate, writing down just 1 or 2 keywords and not more than that. People don't want to write phrases because it is difficult for them. So they often end up writing 1 or 2 keywords and finish it off and think they've done extremely well. No, all this will not give you the scores. Remember this. So now let's understand, how do I stop making mistakes? Fluency is a different thing that I've told you how to perform fluency perfectly on the day 1 practicing. But here, how to write the phrases? Very simple. You listen for 5 seconds, write for 5 seconds. Listen for 5 seconds, write for 5 seconds. When you listen for 5 seconds, make sure to pick a small phrase and then start writing. When you write, don't listen. 2 things you cannot do at once. When you listen, don't write. When you write, don't listen. Do this alternate. Some 30-40 seconds is enough for you to get some 5-6 phrases. As simple as that. So once you have 4 to 6 phrases, use a template, the one that I showed. Just start speaking. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about logic. You worry about grammar, you start fixing it, you fumble, marks. It's cut. Speak for 30-35 seconds or 25 to 30 seconds should be more than enough. You would mostly get 5 out of 5 from each Retell lecture towards your speaking and listening. After this, answer short question, no need to practice. Listen to the question. If you know the answer, you tell the answer. Otherwise, repeat the question or say something relevant to the question. It is not an important module. We have skipped it and still got 90 multiple times, so don't have to really worry. Don't skip it. Attempt it. If you know the answer, you speak. Otherwise, speak something relevant to the question or repeat the question and click next. So now day 1 is where we try to perfect our fluency. Day 2, we understood the approaches. Now day 3 and day 4 is where we start practicing. 1 hour a day, but if possible, if you have more time, then 2 hours a day is a great one. So 15 minutes of read aloud, 15 minutes of repeat sentence, 15 minutes of describe image and 15 minutes of Retell lecture is more than enough. And make sure to write down the mistakes that you made. You know, like how many fumbles you made in 15 minutes of read aloud, how many times you actually stopped, pauses, hesitations, how many times you became nervous, how many times you blacked out, how many times the hands were shaking, everything you noted down in 15 minutes of read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image, Retell lecture. This is very, very important. So after you note it down, after 1 hour, now if you still have time, the next 1 hour is where you got to fix all these things. You have the data, the horoscope of yours. These are the mistakes I've made for the last 1 hour. 15 minutes of read aloud, 15 minutes of repeat sentence, describe image, Retell lecture. Now you know your mistake. The next 1 hour, practice the same by not making the same mistake. This is where you got to understand whether you're improving or not. This is very, very crucial. So hope you're getting it. This becomes very, very instrumental. After 1 hour of practice, you note down the things and the next 1 hour you try to fix it if you have time. This is going to be the most instrumental rote learning we call, meaning learning by repetition, that helps you out to get that 90 in your speaking. And on the day 5, if you're still not confident, if you're confident book exam, if you still think there are mistakes, there are some anxiousness out there inside, then take an official mock from Pearson, not from anywhere else. Take the official mock test from Pearson. Take the entire mock or speaking alone and click the next button for the rest of the sections. You have to see 90. If you're still not seeing 90, try to record the mock and then try to observe what mistakes you've done. You should be able to figure out where you went wrong. Try to use a good mic like Logitech or Platronics so that there won't be any issue with respect to your mic. Like Bluetooth mic and all you cannot use. Mac I have, no, it won't work. You got to use a good mic. Even after this, if the scores are not improving, text us, join our course. We're going to help you out in max 3 or 4 days. I really hope this was an informative content. If you believe the same, like, share and subscribe and leave your valuable comments in the comment section. The 5-day routine definitely will help you. Make sure you follow whatever I've given there. With this, I'm going to park the video here. This is Nakul signing off from SKILLS PTE Academic. Soon we'll be back. Till then, take care. Bye-bye. Thanks much.